Stone was going to take care of us. I mean, yeah, we've got the little heater set up. And it's really not even that cold. It's like a
No, it feels
nice
good.
42 degrees. The sun is out.
Yeah.
So come celebrate. I mean, we are here leading up to Utah versus BYU, obviously, and having a little tailgate party. We're going to be here all day.
We'll be here all day.
Leading up to the 6 p.m. combined BYU Utah pregame show. So it's just going to be a blast all day long. So if you're planning on coming up here, come a little early, stop by, say hi. We just got word that we've got BYU and Utah-themed donuts. We've got coffee out here, so come say hi.
If you want to go, if you're driving around near Roland Hall and you're thinking about going to 7-Eleven or something and getting a coffee, don't go there.
Yeah, don't pay for one. Come grab one.
Come out, grab one here with us. Come say hi. Come hang out.
It's a beautiful day. It's going to be a beautiful game, Alex. We have been so excited all week. Can't wait to get into it. So let's just jump right in. What do you think the biggest storyline of this game is?
Well, it has to be the quarterback position, right, for Utah. Who's going to be the starting quarterback for the Utah Utes tonight as they take on the undefeated number 9 BYU?
Yeah, I think I'd agree with you there. That's been Utah's storyline all season, going back to literally, what was that, the second game of the year?
Yeah. And, well, I mean, if you count last year, too, it's been
Yeah, counting all of last year as well. So really just this quarterback situation, not to sound like a broken record. I mean, it's something we talk about every week. But in case you missed it, against Houston, Isaac Wilson was, I guess you could say, benched, and they brought Brandon Rose in off the bench. And then following that game, Kyle Whittingham said that they were going to have a bit of a competition to see who the starting quarterback would be today, and it has not been announced. We're not going to know until kickoff, so it's up to us to speculate, and that's the fun part of our job. We get to kind of talk about each one. But Alex, is there one quarterback that you're kind of leaning towards? Who do you think we're going to see tonight for the Utes?
I think, and I believe, it's time to hashtag water the rose, Christian.
Okay.
Hashtag water the rose. No, I heard it in passing. I wish I could take credit for it, but yes, it's time to. And look, this isn't a knock to Isaac, because I do think Isaac has shown signs and glimpses of the potential that he has. But right now, I think Utah's biggest question and biggest concern is the lack of a spark on offense. We haven't seen really anything besides maybe a couple of deep passes to Money Parks, who Money Parks, by the way, is now out for the year. And so I think this is just an opportunity to try to find a spark. You gave, whatever the plan is for Kyle Whittingham in this offense, you kind of had the 2 weeks to prep, considering you had the bye week last week. And so I do think it's time to see, maybe give Brandon Rose a little bit of a chance to see what he can do, because I've been thinking about this all week, Christian. And I'm going to tie it into the Utah Jazz. Will Hardy in his post game was talking about the young players, and he mentioned that not all playing time is good playing time.
Yeah.
Is effective playing time. You can't just play to play, right? And so I think this is an opportunity for Isaac to maybe take a back seat and just continue developing, because at what point does it become a detriment to Isaac Wilson's development, these poor performances from the offense?
Man, if only they would have been doing this all year, right? And that was my initial thought. Again, I bring this up every week, going back to when they announced Isaac Wilson was going to be the backup. It never made sense to me. And Kyle Whittingham kind of mentioned earlier this week, the plan was not for Isaac Wilson to play this early in the season, right? They didn't expect him to take the team over once Cam Rising essentially got hurt versus Baylor. And so in my mind, that's what the backup quarterback is. If you don't want to give the reins to him that early because he's not ready yet, then don't name him the backup. But that's in the past. I think it's interesting that you want to see Brandon Rose, and I guess I lean the same way. Isaac Wilson he's struggled, especially the last couple of weeks. It seems like it's got worse and worse.
Right.
And they just need a spark. They need something different. They need somebody who can go in and really just control the offense. They're not looking for big plays. You're not going to beat BYU by throwing 75-yard bombs. They don't really have that capability anyways, especially after losing Money Parks like you mentioned. They just need somebody who can go in and execute and really just be a game manager. And that's what Utah has really always had at quarterback anyways. The quarterback is not going to be the best player on the Utah team, hardly ever. They just need somebody who can go in, kind of be that point guard style quarterback, distribute, let the playmakers make the plays, let the defense hold you down. I mean, this defense is crazy, right? The defense is one of the best in the Big 12 and has kept them in games, and unfortunately they have not been able to put points together on offense, but that's what they're looking for, is somebody who can come in and really just not lose the game for you, which is kind of the lowest bar that can be set, but they haven't had that in recent weeks.
It is kind of wild that, and I mean it's kind of what we expect from this Utah defense, but it is kind of wild that the Utes have had the opportunity to stay in games thanks to that defense. And I mean, we talked about it last year with this Utah team. How far can the Utah defense take them? Now we're kind of seeing a similar situation. However, we're getting good play from the defense. There are some opportunities and some plays that I think that could be done better, but they're still getting the job done. It's just now on the offense to get the job done.
Yeah. I mean, it's the rivalry game, right? This game has not been played in 3 years. They should have some juice coming into this. And hopefully making the change presumably making the change. We don't know, and that's the thing. We're not going to know until the first snaps. We did have Steve Bartle on Jake and Ben. He's our wonderful Utah insider for KSLSports.com. Jake and Ben asked Steve who he thinks is going to start at quarterback, and he said Brandon Rose as well. I think all signs kind of point to that in the sense that why would you have a quarterback battle if you were planning to start Isaac Wilson still? I think that's a sign, right?
It's good to hear that Steve is also on the hashtag Water the Rose train and kind of feels the same way that we're feeling. And also, I found it curious and I found it interesting the fact that when we had the opportunity for media availability this week, it wasn't Isaac who stepped up and talked to the press and talked to the media. It was Brandon Rose, which Brandon Rose hasn't really talked to the media at all.
I'd say that's pretty telling.
Yeah.
Right? Why would you have Brandon Rose come in and talk?
Unless it's an elaborate scheme to make us think that it's going to be Brandon.
It could be a smoke screen, and if that's what Kyle Whittingham is doing, I mean, I wouldn't put it that's not out of the realm of possibility. I mean,
can't put it past him.
Yeah. I did have this thought, and earlier I talked about kind of why would you have a quarterback battle if you were still planning on starting Isaac Wilson. And then I thought, this is a kid that he had to start way earlier than he wanted to, than the team wanted him to, and he's had his confidence hurt and damaged so much over the last 2 months. So maybe you manufacture some confidence for Isaac Wilson by introducing this quarterback battle, making him win the starting job back, and get a little win under his shoulder so he can, again, just build confidence coming into this game. That's the only positive of a quarterback battle I'd say could happen from Isaac Wilson's perspective. But then on the flip side, if you lose that quarterback battle, that just damages your confidence that much more.
Yeah, not good. I agree with you there. I mean, we talked about it a little bit last week. We hope that this quarterback battle that the Utes are going through right now, getting ready for this BYU game, it's hopefully an opportunity for iron to sharpen iron, right? Get Brandon Rose out there, get Isaac Wilson out there, and hopefully push them to just do better.
Be better. Yeah, that's what they need. They need the offense to step up as a whole, and that starts with the quarterback. And it's kind of crazy the ripple effect that better quarterback play will have on this offense. But, I mean, as soon as you get some resemblance of a passing game going, that really just helps open things up everywhere else, especially, for Mekhi Bernard and the running game.
Yes.
Because we've seen over the last couple of weeks, they're seeing so many stacked boxes.
Yes.
And Mekhi Bernard, who had a really good season up until a couple of weeks ago, you started seeing a lot of, 8, 9, 10-man boxes because, truthfully, the passing game has not been a threat at all. And, again, Money Parks out for the season. He was one of their leading receivers alongside Brant Keithy and Dorian Singer. You know who was fourth on the team in receiving yards?
Who was fourth?
I think it was Dijon Stanley.
Oh, wow.
And most of his receiving yards came in game 1 against SU, where he had, 140 yards or something like that?
That's not good.
So really just outside of, again, Parks, Keithy, and Singer, they have not been able to do anything in the passing game.
I think that's going to be key. You have to, tonight against BYU, you have to get this passing game going, whatever it takes. You got to get some kind of semblance, something going, some positives going in the passing game. Because you mentioned it, Christian, the last 2 weeks, teams have been stacking the box and have kind of been taking the game away from Mekhi Bernard. And once you take Bernard out of the game, you're just not moving the ball.
Yeah.
Mekhi Bernard against Arizona State, 21 carries for 129 yards and had the touchdown. You look at the TCU game, 13 carries for 55 yards. And that was because TCU did a good job of stacking the box and stopping the run game. You look at the Houston game, 14 carries for 51 yards. Did have a touchdown in that one, but still, you're looking at 51 when you had the 129 against Arizona State. And again, because Houston's stacking the box, so you have to make the defenses respect your passing game, and then that way you open up Mekhi Bernard in that run game.
And it's fair to assume we're going to see BYU's defense come out and do the same thing. Obviously, they're going to dare the Utes to beat them with the pass game, especially with you've either got Isaac Wilson coming in and starting, who's been struggling, or you've got Brandon Rose making his first career start. So, yeah, the Cougars are going to be daring Utah to air the ball out. And we'll see. I am really interested in how the pass game looks because just looking at these receiving stats from the year going back, Dorian Singer, 540 yards. Brant Keithy, 482. Money Parks, 294. And then you've got Dijon Stanley, 166 receiving yards on 7 catches. Again, about 140 of those were in week 1 against SU. Other than that, Mekhi Bernard is next. He has 95 yards receiving on the season. Then you've got Caleb Lohner, the tight end, 3 catches for 51 yards. We haven't seen Caleb Lohner since that Baylor game as well, right? Or was it week 3?
Might have seen him against Utah State.
I think it was Utah State, right?
Yes.
Where he caught that.
Yes.
Either way, he has 3 catches, 3 touchdowns, but only 51 yards on the season. Micah Pittman, 50 yards receiving on the season, and I'm not going to get too much into it, but there are some rumors going around online that I'm not sure if he's with the team anymore. I'm not really sure what's going on there, but he has not really had an impact on the season, so maybe we'll see somebody like Damian Alford, who we have not seen at all. Maybe it's up to him to step up and make some plays. But basically, you're down Money Parks. Sounds like they're down Micah Pittman. You're left with Dorian Singer and Brant Keithy to continue to carry the load by themselves.
Which, in all reality, those aren't necessarily terrible options, right? They're both really good at making plays.
They are their 2 best players.
Yes.
But you've got to get the ball to them.
There you go. That's exactly where I was going with that. They're more than capable of making a big play. They're more than capable of being top receivers. But you have to continue to build that passing game because the ball's just not getting. Brant Keithy had a couple of good catches against Houston. Dorian Singer had a couple of good catches too in the past games, but you got to get something going in that pass game and really give an opportunity for Singer and Brant Keithy to make some plays if you're going to want to have a chance at beating BYU tonight.
Breaking news, Alex. Do you know who the celebrity guest pickers were on College Game Day today?
It was Livy Dunn, wasn't it?
Livy Dunn and Paul Skeens.
Oh, man.
They all picked BYU to win except for Kirk Herbstreit. Herbie picked Utah.
Okay.
But everybody else on the Game Day panel, including Livy Dunn and Paul Skeens, combining their pick. They all picked BYU.
Herbie just saved BYU, I think. Because every time everybody picks them, they lose.
Yeah.
The teams end up losing, and so I think Herbie just saved BYU.
That's really – is Game Day at LSU?
It's at LSU.
Okay.
Yes.
That makes sense why they'd have Livy Dunn then. But just got the KSL Sports app notification Mitch Harper sent a tweet out, so turn your notifications on. It's a really, really busy day. Alex, this is such a fun rivalry, obviously. I mean, we've got BYU, 45 minutes on a busy day down the road. And these two teams have so many connections. You've got coaches on one team that played for the other team. You've got coaches on one team that coached previously for the other team. And I think that's another storyline that has got a lot of run coming into this game, is just all the connections on the two staffs. And Kyle Whittingham and Kalani Sitake both talked about that at length throughout the week. So I want to hear from Kyle Whittingham first. We're going to see what Kyle Whittingham had to say on so many kind of ex-Utah members now at BYU.
I think it works both ways, because a lot of what they're doing is stuff that we do. And so, and I don't know how many guys I was trying to count them up the other day. I think I counted 8, 9, or 10 guys that are on their staff in some capacity that were on our staff previously. And so I guess we trained them well, those guys. Yeah.
Love it.
Love little joke at the end there, too.
I guess we trained them well. And they are, 9-0?
Yeah.
They did train them well. Good job, Whit.
No, it's awesome. I think that just adds a little bit more to the rivalry, right? You have guys who, like Aaron Roderick, who were with the University of Utah a couple years ago, and then he ends up making the move down to BYU. Now he's that BYU offensive coordinator, and I think, obviously there's a good relationship there and a good connection there, but at the same time, like, hey, you want to motivates you a little bit extra to want to get that win, right? Get a win against your former team.
Yeah, and we haven't seen this game in 3 years. So it's kind of, so much has changed in college football over the last 3 years, and these two teams have not really been able to meet and hash it out on the field like we are so used to seeing them do. But you're right, now, since the last time this game is played, there's so much crossover between the two staffs, and you're going to get that when it's a local, regional rivalry. Like I said, less than an hour apart the two schools are. So Jay Hill is another coach that he played and coached at Utah. And it's just, I can't wait to see, after the game, what it's like on the field when the coaches go up and meet and talk to each other, because they're all close.
Yes.
And I don't know how much talking there has been throughout the week, but you just know that there has to be some sort of interaction. Maybe there's a group chat. I'm just trying to imagine how funny that would be. A group chat of all the BYU and Utah coaches together and just talking smack leading up to the game. I'm excited to see it.
That'd be awesome. I think if they had the group chat, that'd be really cool.
Another clip that I really want to hear, Kalani Sitake, he talked about his relationship with Kyle Whittingham and everything that Whit has done for him as a coach. And I thought this was a really heartwarming clip, because obviously Kalani Sitake is just such a genuine and nice person, and I've never met him, but you can get that listening to anything that he says. I mean, he just shows so much love and respect for literally everybody. And so I really do like this clip from Sitake talking about his relationship with Kyle Whittingham.
Great mentor, great friend, and a great competitor. He is a football guy. He's tough and he holds his guys accountable, but there's a good side to him that I've seen, and I think everybody's seen that. He cares about his players and he cares about his staff, and I've been a benefactor of that, and I've been able to be a close friend of his. And listen, he wants to win this game just as much as I do, but I'm honored to be his friend, and after we're done with the game, we'll go back to being friends again. But he's taught me that to do this the right way, you need to make sure that you focus on the boys first. That's what he's doing, and that's what I'm trying to do as head coach.
That's awesome, right? You have that love and that animosity, or not animosity, but the love between the two sides, and of course Kalani learned from Whittingham, and a lot. I feel like a lot of what Kalani wants to do and has done at BYU kind of replicates a little bit of what he learned at Utah, right? And so it's amazing to see the love that these two guys have for each other, and I love the fact that they pointed out that during this week, they're not friends. They'll go back to being friends after the game, but right now it's getting our guys right and making sure that our guys are in the best position to beat you. Yeah,
so much love and respect on both sides for the other team, and it is funny just how the passion goes from love to a really intense rivalry during this week, and then after the game, you go back to really respecting the other program. Alex, Utah won 9 games in a row going back from 2010 to 2021, and then of course in 2021 BYU beat Utah. That was the last time these two teams played. So currently, BYU won the last game. Do you think that BYU is going to start a winning streak? Or do you think that Utah is going to get a win at home today?
Ooh, man, that's a tough one. I'm still really on the fence about this game because we've said it before on the show. When it comes to this rivalry and when it comes to this game, when it comes to Utah BYU, anything that you thought you knew, you throw it out the window.
And we are seeing that with, just an example, ESPN, and I don't bet whatever, but like ESPN has the spread for this game, BYU by only 2.5 points.
Right.
This is a 9-0 team versus the Utes who have lost four in a row, and they only have one conference win. So that right there just shows you, like you said, nothing up to this point matters. You throw it all out the window.
Throw it all out the window because this is a game. Utah could be 0-8 coming into this one, right? Yeah. But it doesn't matter because they're going to show up for this game. This is you, especially the guys who are on that 21 roster. You think about guys like Bernard, who has come out and has said, in during the week that loss stung, and they don't want to ever feel that ever again. They want revenge. They want to win here at home against BYU, and so anything that you thought you knew about these two sides, you throw it out the window because this is a whole nother ball game. This is a whole nother scenario where these guys are hyped up and these guys are ready for this rivalry.
And it is an interesting kind of wrinkle that this game is being played at Rice-Eccles Stadium tonight, right? It's Utah that has been struggling. It's Utah that, I don't want to say needs this win more, but they're the wounded dog right now, right? And everybody knows that's the most dangerous team to play. And everybody knows that Rice-Eccles Stadium can be such a dangerous environment to play at. And you know who else knows that, Alex? Jake Retzloff. This is what Jake Retzloff, quarterback for BYU, had to say about playing tonight's game at Rice-Eccles Stadium.
It's going to be fun. We know that place is super hostile, especially when we go up there. And so we're super excited for it. It's obviously going to be another test. It's going to be another tough game. And especially up there, it gets a little tougher.
It does get a little tougher. And I know that Utah has not been the same this year at home, but traditionally, night game at Rice-Eccles Stadium, that's not where you want to be as an away team.
Especially not if you're the boys in blue.
No.
Especially if you are BYU. Yes, when you come into Rice-Eccles Stadium, it's a whole different environment, especially at those night games. And like you mentioned, Christian, it hasn't been the best season for Utah. I think they've lost more home games this year than they have in the last 2 years combined. But it's a whole different environment. It's a whole different thing because, of course, BYU's coming over, and the fan base plays a really big part in igniting the rivalry. And so I think we're going to see a lot of that and feel a lot of that tonight at Rice-Eccles Stadium.
The last time that BYU came to Rice-Eccles Stadium and beat Utah was all the way back in 2006. BYU was ranked number 21 at the time. They beat Utah 33-31. Coming up later in the show, we're going to hear Curtis Brown. He was BYU's running back at the time. Had a stellar career at BYU. He was on that Cougar team that went into Rice-Eccles Stadium and beat the Utes. Again, that is the last time that BYU has beat Utah here in Salt Lake. So we're going to get to Curtis Brown probably around 11:30, but we got to take a break right now. We'll continue this BYU-Utah conversation on the other side. This is the Saturday Show, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. It's the Saturday Show. We are live on location here at Roland Hall on Guards Midway, just down the road from Rice-Eccles Stadium. We are here for the all-day tailgate party. Stop by, say hi, grab a donut. Alex and I are here until 12. Our combined Ute and Cougar pregame show will begin at 6. We've got tons of coverage throughout the day. So if you're out here tailgating, come by, grab some candy, grab a donut, say hi, whatever. We've got cornhole set up. You can come beat Stone in a game of cornhole. I bet Stone's pretty good at cornhole. If I had to take a guess.
Yes, if I had to take a guess, I would say he looks like a pretty competitive cornhole player.
Yeah, he probably gets lots of practice too. I think this is a traveling cornhole set that they probably bring to a lot of these remotes, and Stone is probably one of the best cornhole players I know.
He just laughs.
He's on the phone and he just heard his name.
That's awesome.
Oh man, what a fun day, Alex. And people are starting to trickle in as everybody is preparing to tailgate all day. I mean, it's a night game, and that's the best part about a night game is you have all day to just party and get ready. So again, come say hi. We want to meet you.
Come say hi. Come grab coffee. And give us your hot takes.
Give us your hot takes. Give us your score prediction.
Yeah, there you go.
Tell us your favorite memories of this rivalry game. We know you have them. So, again, thanks for making us part of your morning. And as you come on up to Rice-Eccles Stadium, come see us. Alex, I want to talk about some of the smack talk that went down during this week because obviously it's a rivalry week. And, you know, these two teams don't like each other. That's plain and simple. We talked about how much the coaches respect one another, but the fans and the players, you know, they want to put it to the other team. And this is one of the bigger storylines of the week. Jalen Glover was made available on Monday, and he talked to the media, and he had some interesting smack talk that kind of went viral. So this is what Jalen Glover had to say on this game.
Excuse my language, but it's BYU, man. I've never been a part of the Cold War, but I'm excited now. Looking for the opportunity to be out there to go fight and battle with the guys and, you know, keep our streak going, man. We got to go beat them boys down south, and I'm excited to be a part of it.
I think I'm more concerned that he called it the Cold War.
I was going to say, rule number one, if you talk smack, make sure you get the name of the rivalry game right.
Yeah.
It's not the Cold War, Jalen. That is something completely different and a lot more serious. But honestly, we've heard takes all week on the Zone, right?
Yes.
Listening to all of the shows, everybody kind of had their own take on it. Here's my take. I honestly don't mind it. And I know a lot of people kind of took issue with the language, with the expletive that he used. And I'm going to be honest with you, Alex. I think it's fun. I think that's, you know, part of those memorable quotes that lead up to the game. If Utah wins, they're going to remember Jalen Glover saying that. If BYU wins, they're going to remember Jalen Glover saying that.
Absolutely.
And it's going to give them ammo and rub it in Utah's face. Like, hey, remember your running back that's carried the ball 4 times this year? Remember when he said this for no reason? Like, that's what makes these rivalry games fun, and you need that. And maybe Jalen Glover crossed the line using that specific word. Who cares? I think it's fun.
It adds a little bit more. It just adds more to the rivalry.
Yeah.
It adds a little more gasoline to the fire. I guess kudos to him for coming out and apologizing after the video went viral.
He did come out and apologize, yeah.
He came out and apologized, tweeted it, apologized for saying those things about BYU. But as you mentioned, like, there's so many iconic lines from both sides of the rivalry, right? Max Hall saying, "I hate their fans." What did he say? Something like that. Like, you got Max Hall, you got Tyler Huntley and the "they so poo poo" line.
Yeah,
like iconic. You're always going to remember those.
Yeah.
And so you need, I feel like you need those type of moments, and you need those kinds of those situations just to keep adding fire to the rivalry.
Well, especially with this rivalry being resurrected.
Yeah.
It needs to be resurrected because this is a game that has not been played in 3 years, and even before that. I know BYU won the most recent matchup, but basically once BYU went independent and Utah was in the Pac-12, this game had not been competitive. I mean, Utah won 9 games in a row, and then BYU won in 2021. But again, that's the last time that this game was played. So a lot of these players were not part of either team the last time they faced off. A lot of these players don't know anything about the rivalry. So you do need that. You do need, you know, the spark's got to come from somewhere. The fans obviously know the history of this rivalry, but I am encouraged seeing these players kind of taking upon themselves and manufacturing sort of a topic, a talking point throughout the week. And that just gives Coach Sataki and the Cougar staff some bulletin material saying, hey, look at these guys. Look at what they're saying about us. Go out and put it to them.
Get them fired up. Get them fired up. And I think, again, when you have in the world of NIL and transfers, and you're going to have a lot of turnover on teams, you're going to have a lot of players coming in and out. And so you can't let the rivalry die as the team moves on, right? Most of these guys are only here for 4 years, 5 at some, with the red shirts here, and then
12
obviously
if you're Cam Rising.
And then you have the transfers who leave, and you have the transfers who come in who are here for shorter periods of time. And so you got to have not only the education of the rivalry and teaching these guys what this rivalry means and what this is for both sides, but you got to have moments like that to just keep the fire going. You can't let the rivalry kind of diminish with all these players, with the turnover on the rosters.
Right. We mentioned the change that college football has went through over the past 3 years since this game was played. It is hard to make the players care about this, but there are a few players on both teams that were on the rosters the last time these two teams played. Mekhi Bernard being one for Utah. So this is what Mekhi Bernard had to say earlier in the week about what this game means to him.
Man, it means a lot. I mean, when you think about the rivalry and, all the years that we won in a row and stuff like that, and you come in and, first year I'm actually playing and we actually lose one, it hurts, that I'm part of that team that actually lost that game. And so, it means a lot to me. I don't want to feel like that ever again. I want to be on the side of the record where, we're winning. We're not in the loss column, so that's how I feel.
So it is interesting to have that, like most of the players in this Ute locker room, they don't know what it was like, but then you have Mekhi Bernard there kind of sitting in the corner saying, hey, guys, like this feeling that I went through when we lost this rivalry game, when it means so much to everybody here in the state, like it sucks. It sucks being on the losing side.
Absolutely.
So you've got Mekhi Bernard, who already is a leader on this team. He is part of the group trying to indoctrinate all these players. And I use that word specifically because Kyle Whittingham used that word, and I think that is a fun part of this rivalry is needing to teach these players about what it means. Because you're right, Alex, a lot of these guys coming in, transferring to the Utah program, coming from out of state, never having played in this game, they don't really know what this game means because they haven't played in it. So this is what I want you can hear it from Kyle Whittingham himself. This is what he had to say about kind of firing up these team members for this game.
We've had some indoctrination, I guess you could say, about the rivalry and history lessons. We have certainly made sure that the guys that have never participated in the game and or not from in-state, so they don't know anything about it, are fully versed in what it's all about.
I want to know. I want to be a part of that class.
Yeah, I'd love to be a fly on the wall there.
Yeah, I want to know what's going on in their study, right, in their history study of this rivalry. And I want to hear what they're saying. I want to hear the moments that they share, right? I think that would be super interesting to find out what exactly was shared to fire up these guys,
They bring in a historian. They put on, not like the PowerPoint, but what are those like overhead projectors called, like the old black ones? You know what I'm saying?
I know what you're talking about. I have no idea what they're called.
The first BYU-Utah rivalry game was played in 1896, and the Utes won 12-4.
And he goes through every single game.
That'd be awesome.
That's what I'm imagining.
Exactly. I want to know. I would like to be a part of that history lesson, for sure.
Yeah. No, and I am curious to know like how the coaches are getting these guys fired up.
And it's important to get them fired up, like we were just talking about. And even like Whittingham mentioned, right? There's a lot of out-of-state guys who probably don't know much about this rivalry.
Yeah.
And again, in the world of the transfer portal, in the world of NIL, there's going to be guys who are coming into this team and probably don't know much, and so you have to light that fire and get these guys ready for what this game is.
So you heard from Whittingham just barely. Let's hear from Kalani Sitake's side about teaching his team about the importance of this game.
No, and we're all about love and learn, and part of learning is educating them on what this game means. But also, you want to keep it to them just doing their job. The new players that are here, since they stepped on campus, the fans themselves have already educated our players on how important this game is. But for us as a coaching staff, we have to get back to the basics, and it doesn't really matter who's on the other side. There's a lot of things that we can do differently and do better as a team first before we can start really worrying about the drama and the emotions that go into the game. Playing with a lot of passion is going to be a test of this, if you guys love football or not. Like even the newcomers to the team that don't know a lot about this rivalry, I think they care a lot about their fans, they care about teammates, and they know that this game's important. So just like every game's happened, and I like their approach so far. So we'll keep working how we've been the entire season.
There you go.
Different tones.
A little bit.
Yeah.
A little bit. I do think that the implications of this rivalry outside of the state are pretty important too. I think that's something that hasn't been talked about a lot, but you think of the Big 12 conference losing, some of their rivalries that they had when the bigger teams left the conference. They need a rivalry to step up and be the premier, big one.
Yeah. And if you remember back to, Big 12 media days, Brett Yormark kind of hinted that rivalries were going to be important. And this was one that they wanted to emphasize. Because you're right. The Red River rivalry, Oklahoma and Texas, huge rivalry.
And that's not only was it the biggest one in the Big 12, it's one of the biggest rivalries in the country. And
Absolutely.
Same with this BYU-Utah rivalry. And it's hard to feel that when it hasn't been played in 3 years again. But that's what Yormark wants is, to point to this game and saying this game is one of the most important games of the entire season for our conference every single year.
And I think that's perfect. Right, not only for Utah, not only for BYU, but for the Big 12.
For the Big 12,
you have to have marquee rivalries, right? You look at the Big 10, Ohio State, Michigan, right? You look at now the SEC is full of them.
Yeah,
there's so many in the SEC. Now the Big 12 needs to have a rivalry of that magnitude and of that size at a national level, and I think this rivalry is a perfect candidate for it. And like I said, they even mentioned it in Big 12 media days that that's what they eventually want for this rivalry and for the rivalries in this conference. And so, what better way to start today?
And it is interesting, playing this game today instead of the last game of the year. When it is, that's traditionally where college football teams play their rival, is that last week of the college football season. But that's why it was scheduled today, is because, everybody else is playing their big rivalry game the last week of the season. You know who's not playing any rivalry games today? Everybody. So I know it's a night game, and that kind of contradicts the whole reasoning for scheduling it today. But the idea was to put it on a weekend, where there are no other big national rivalry games going on, so we can get a bunch of eyeballs on this game, on the Big 12 conference, and help make them nationally relevant when it seems like the SEC and the Big 10 are kind of running college football right now. So the Big 12 needs this game to be competitive. They need this game to be nationally relevant.
Absolutely. And I think a lot of it will start tonight, right? If this game can live up to the drama, can live up to the hype, and live up to the excitement, it's a perfect step in the right direction.
Yeah, it's going to set the tone kind of for how, somebody across the country is going to think about the Big 12 conference. Somebody, I'm blanking here, but I'm trying to think of a state that doesn't have a Big 12 team. Somebody back east from New York or whatever,
sure.
Right? If they think of Big 12 football, the goal of this game is to make them think of, oh, yeah, the Holy War. Like, that's a big deal.
Yeah.
So I'm excited for that. Again, it does suck that it's canceled out. Just thinking of that New York fan, they're not going to be watching this game because it's at 10:30 New York time. But you never know. Maybe you'll get some sickos. The New York fan was maybe a bad example, but still, my point stands. I mean, the Big 12 wants this game
absolutely
to draw eyeballs from across the country, and I truthfully think that they're going to get that. I think especially if it's a close game that gives us another iconic moment, as we've seen traditionally with this game, I think there are going to be a lot of people talking about it.
Right, and like I said, this is a little bit of a dress rehearsal for what we're going to get for this rivalry in the future, and it starts today with the Big 12 hopefully getting a good game and hopefully elevating that rivalry just a little bit more on the national scheme of things to potentially set up even bigger rivalry games in the future.
Let's see it. I'm excited.
I'm excited too.
I'm excited. You know who else is excited? Everybody else here at Roland Hall. Come join us. It is a party. Again, we've got cornhole, we've got candy, we've got donuts, coffee. Come say hi to Alex and I as you get ready for your all-day tailgate party. We are going to be here all day leading up to the game. Later today, Lloyd told me specifically to mention this. El Matador, one of the best Mexican restaurants here in northern Utah. They're based out of Bountiful. They are going to be catering about 100 burritos later today. They're world-famous El Matador burritos. Again, there's going to be like 100 of them. I think that's going to be around 5 is what I was told. So it's an all-day party. We've got plenty of reasons for you to come out and join us. Again, we really want to meet you. Come stop by, say hi. Tell us your favorite rivalry game moments. We are here at Roland Hall on Guardsman Way, right down the road from Rice-Eccles Stadium. We got to take a break, but on the other side, it wouldn't be a Saturday show without technical fouls. So we'll get into that coming up next. This is the Saturday Show, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
If you're coming from the street with dirty shoes on your feet, that's a technical foul. If you switch the radio to some modern music show, that's a technical foul. If you touch the thermostat,
you'll get hit with a bat.
'Cause that's a technical foul.
You will feel my wrath.
That's a technical foul.
Personal foul, 69, offense. He was giving them the business.
A technical foul.
It's the Saturday Show, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Christian Esparza, Alex Napoles, live from Roland Hall as we get ready for our all-day tailgate party leading into Utah versus BYU. Thanks for making us a part of your morning if you're on your way up to the tailgate, to the game, or if you're still sitting at home just prepping for what is going to be such a fun day. But, you know, if you have plans to come up here, come a little early. Come say hi. We've got candy. I might eat all of the peanut M&Ms, but everything else is up for grabs. We've got BYU and Utah-themed donuts. We've got coffee. We've got cornhole. And it's really not that cold. It's
it feels good.
Actually pretty nice out.
Feels good.
I
was concerned.
Yeah, I was concerned too.
But we got out here. It feels good. Perfect football weather, I would say.
Last night I was scrambling. I, went and bought some little gloves. I bought some hand warmers. This morning I put on 2 pairs of pants. I'm wearing a hoodie, a big jacket, and I don't need any of it. I mean, it is really a nice day out.
We got a guy passing right now on a bike, and he is in full shorts.
The bike shorts, the short ones.
That's how cool. That's how warm it is.
Yeah, it's a beautiful day. So come join us here at Roland Hall. Anyways. If you're listening, you just heard the Technical Fouls intro, one of our favorite segments on the Saturday Show. We talk about some of the funnier and sillier, maybe goofy things that happen in the world of sports throughout the week. Alex, go ahead and start us off. What is your technical foul for the week?
Christian, I don't know if you've heard of this story yet, but
I did hear about it. I saw that you put it in the doc, so I didn't read anything. I didn't want to spoil it. I want you to tell me about it.
All right, I got you. So obviously hoop season has begun. College basketball is back, and this weekend Auburn is traveling to take on Houston. But there was a little bit of an issue when they left because the plane had to turn around due to a quote-unquote in-flight altercation. The pilot reached back out to the tower, whatever you call it, and he said, hey, we have to come back because there is an altercation on the flight between 2 of the players. They get back to the airport. Police is waiting for them. It's a whole situation. But it turns out it was just horseplay.
Is there a video of it?
It wasn't even. No, they haven't released any videos yet. There is a recording of the flight of the pilot, who the pilot is being a little bit overdramatic, says, we have an altercation on board, and we'd like to declare an emergency and land. We've got a bunch of basketball players fighting. The flight deck is secure. Front level is contained for the moment. We want police on the ground because we had 2 players that got into a physical altercation. And so the police show up. They think that, like, punches are thrown. They think this is a big deal. But it turns out it was just horseplay. There were just 2 guys messing around on the plane, and the pilot decided that they were fighting.
That's so funny. And, Scott Gerard, our guy Scotty G, he put out a funny tweet. He said, "So help me, I will turn this plane around right now." That's crazy. I've never heard of something like that.
Crazy. Yes, absolutely. I think what makes this the technical foul is the fact that the pilots were
so dramatic
about it and making it seem like there was like a huge fist fight on the plane, but really just guys being guys messing around horse playing.
I'm looking up to see who they play. They played today at Houston.
Yes.
So I'm assuming they got to Houston.
I believe so, yeah.
After that, I wonder if those players are going to be disciplined at all. That's interesting.
Right.
Can't wait to see. Tip-off is at 7:30 for Auburn at Houston today. That's a really funny one. I've never heard of anything like that. I can't imagine how the coach felt. I mean, he was probably, number one, I don't know what side he was on, right? If he was on the side of his players or on the side of the pilots. Like, guys, get your act together right now. Or
right.
Maybe he was really mad at the pilot, saying, "Are you freaking kidding me?"
Like, are we serious? We're turning around. Right? We're emergency landing over this while we're trying to get to a game. So, again, it'll be interesting to see kind of what turns out, because there is a police. The police were there. Like, I'm sure reports had to be filed. So we'll see what comes out of it. But just in a fun situation in the air for the Auburn men's basketball team.
All right. It's time for my technical foul. I've got to be careful about how I word this.
Well, I'm scared.
I don't want to cross any lines here. I'm just going to talk about a tweet that was put out earlier in the week.
Uh-oh.
From Pope Francis. He tweeted,
"Oh, no.
We cannot become #saints with a frown. We must have joyful hearts that remain open to hope." I love the tweet. I love the message. My technical foul just goes to the use of the #saints, because on Twitter or X, if you use #saints, it defaults to the New Orleans Saints,
right,
and brings up the Fleur de Lis logo. So you've got Pope Francis tweeting about becoming #Saints, and it looks like he's talking about the NFL team. And the New Orleans Saints, they quote tweeted it. They said, "Amen, #Saints." So I thought that was just a really funny interaction.
I love that the social media team kind of went into it and played, leaned into it, played along with it a little bit, because it is funny to see a kind of
one of the biggest figures in the world.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, but a serious tweet.
Yeah,
and you just have the New Orleans Saint logo just slapped down in the middle of this.
Yeah,
tweet.
I do fully agree with the message. I do think we need to have joyful hearts that remain open to hope, especially today on rivalry week. Maybe he's thinking about this game, but #Saints is really funny. I wonder if he were to have an NFL team, if that's who he would cheer for.
I think so. It would make sense.
It would make sense.
Yeah.
I kind of had some fun with it. I quote tweeted it and said, "Let's try and get Pope Francis to use #Broncos country in a sentence." That's the hashtag that will get the Broncos logo to show up, but that might be pretty hard.
I would like to see the Pope just start tweeting all the NFL teams now.
I want to know his hot takes.
Yeah.
I want to know who he thinks is going to win the Super Bowl. I want to know what he thinks of all of the Taylor Swift stuff with the Chiefs.
He probably doesn't follow the NFL.
No, he probably doesn't follow any sports. He's pretty busy. He's a pretty busy guy. So, again, not a technical foul on the Pope per se, but more so just the silliness of his tweet showing the #Saints. That's really funny to me.
That's awesome, man.
Oh, man, we got to take a break. We'll get back into rivalry talk on the other side. And you know what, Alex, let's hear from Curtis Brown. That was an interview that we had earlier in the week on Jake and Ben, former BYU running back, one of the better careers in BYU history as a running back. But more importantly, he was part of the BYU team that came in and beat Utah here in Salt Lake City in 2006. That was the last time the Cougars beat Utah at Rice-Eccles Stadium. So we're going to hear that interview next. Again, we are here at Roland Hall, live on location. We're having an all-day tailgate party. We're right down the road from Rice-Eccles Stadium. So if you're listening to us on your way up here, come grab a donut, come grab some candy, stop by, say hi to me and Alex. Tell us your favorite rivalry moments from what you can remember throughout this history, because this is such a fun and exciting day. So we want to see you. Come say hi to us. This is the Saturday Show, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.